Welcome back. Let's take a simulated view of our infinite loop. Okay, so let's visualize. Right. So while true, right, takes me here, which I enter a value. Let's say a nibble. Okay, and so we will print nibble right up here. And now I will need to check, is that word that was typed the same as Q? And I will say it's not. So what do I do? Well, I go back to the loop, which is to ask for another word. Okay? And so if I say TAC and I submit, then it will print the word and it will again check to see if it is a Q. Alright, so notice it never executes line 10. Now, if I enter a Q, either big or small, and submit, then we see that line 9 turns out to be true, which means line 10 will be executed, and so the program effectively ends. But let's add something to show you that we actually leave. Okay, so let's put something outside of the while loop. Outside of the while loop. Free at last. Alright. Okay. And let's put a space. So to put a space, we simply do print open close. And that gives us an extra line of space. Okay, so let's visualize this. Let's do it once. Let's say I. Alright. And so we're going to get our I. And it's going to ask us to enter another word. Let's type Q. And submit. And you're going to get a Q. And then we're going to hit line 10. And once we hit line 10, it means we will jump to the next line of code that is outside the loop, which is found on line 11, which is just a space. Okay, and finally it will say outside of the while loop, free at last. And notice the space that was created here because of this print open close function on line 11. Okay, so I hope this gave you a better understanding of how an infinite loop works. Like I mentioned previously, an infinite loop is quite useful in those cases where you don't know how many times you want the loop to execute for, because remember, it will be the user who determines how many times the loop will run. So what you must do is to write your code using an infinite loop with simply checks to see if the user has entered some sentinel, alright, as we call it, some sentinel, right, or some word or some letter or some number that you use to check against in your code. And based on that, you leave the loop. And to leave the loop, the break keyword allows us to do that. Now, once you leave the loop, where do you end up? Well, you end up outside the loop and at the first line of code that is outside of that loop. Alright, so I will see you in the next video where we begin our test your learning questions. See you then.